Hey, it's Hunt. You found Hunt on Saints. We're talking black and gold football. Do us a favor, hit the like button, share your comments below, and hit that subscription button so you can get all of our content. Enjoy. New Orleans Saints, who were back at it in pads today down in Metri. Kat Terrell was there. She covers the Saints for ESPN and joins us on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Kat, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm surviving camp so far. That's how I'll put it.
What are the preventative measures to stay cool out there that the media are allowed?
I don't think those exist. I put sunscreen on like 3 times. That's about it.
Yeah,
Just trying to grind through practice, just like everyone else.
make it happen. Well, I haven't seen a lot about today's practice, but I do know that the reports are that Andrus Peat went down. That's, of course, on the heels of Trey Turner going down, who, of course, our fans are quite familiar with here. So what can you tell us about those two guys?
Well, I saw Pete limping off the field and going into the locker room very early in practice. Maybe 20 minutes into practice, long before they started team drills or anything like that. We asked Dennis Allen about it. He said that he doesn't think that the quad injury is on the same level as Trey Turner's, who had a ruptured tendon, but he thinks it might be a strain. Now, I guess we'll just see. I wouldn't be surprised if it is strained. I think that's not worst case scenario, but it should keep him out of practice for a while.
What does that mean for the interior offensive line, centers, and guards?
Honestly, at this early point, maybe not that much. Really, they're trying to rotate these guys in and out at different positions. You see James Hurst, who when he signed with the Saints a couple years ago, he signed as a tackle. They kind of learned through injuries that Hurst can also play guard. And so what they've been doing is they'll have Trevor Penning start out at left tackle, and then he'll come out after a few snaps, and then they'll have Hurst move inside. So I wouldn't be surprised if Hurst is now taking Pete's spot, but there'll still be some rotation. If it sounds confusing, I feel like you have to have a chart to keep up with it all. Tons of players moving around, but they've dealt with these injuries before, and I think that it's a good idea to do things like that. So then when someone goes down, they know that players can play all up and down the line.
You're a Saints fan after the last couple of years. You're thinking, can we just stay healthy for a few games here and there, and just right out of the chute, they put the pads on a couple of players at the same position, go down. One looks like it's a little bit more significant than the other. Your report today was that Alvin Kamara will meet with the commissioner regarding potential disciplinary action from the NFL. What can you tell us about that?
Well, I asked Dennis Allen about this today, and he said Alvin wants to get out ahead of any potential suspension. He wants his chance to tell his side of the story. And they still don't know anything at this point from the league about whether Kamara will be suspended or how long he'll be suspended for. I would think that Kamara would probably go talk to Goodell sooner rather than later. So we'll probably know more about that in the next few days. I don't know if it's going to help. We'll see. But the thing is, these types of suspensions are always a little bit up in the air. I feel like when a player gets a DWI, it's usually pretty cut and dry that it'll be a 3-game suspension, maybe 2 if they're lucky, I guess. With things like this, there's so many moving parts that no one really knows what the league's going to do. But I think the fact that he no longer has that felony, that potential of felony conviction hanging over his head, I think that'll probably reduce what could have been a significant suspension to maybe a few games. But we'll have to see.
The Saints obviously did a lot of work in the offseason via free agency and the draft to be prepared for a potential suspension. What can you tell us about the two guys that would likely get the majority of the reps when Kamara's not out there?
Well, I think if you ever had a backup you could rely on, it's definitely going to be Jamal Williams, who came from the Lions, had, I believe, it was 18 touchdowns last year. Really great short yardage back, but he'll be the first to say that's not all he is. I think that if Kamara is suspended for a few games, then that's going to be a very capable guy who can take the lead on that. And then I think that Kendre Miller, the rookie, has looked good too. We didn't get to see him earlier in the off season, because he was recovering from that knee injury from January. But he's started to show himself more the last few days. He's involved in the passing game too, and that's what they want out of their backs. They don't want backs that are just running backs. They really heavily involved their running backs in the passing game. We saw that in years past with Kamara when He went several years in a row with 80 receptions. And so I think there's a lot of potential there. So, really it's not doom and gloom if Kamara isn't able to play for a few weeks.
She is at @_Terrell on Twitter. Katherine Terrell covers the Saints for ESPN. Can Jimmy Graham still play football?
Well, I think that's what we're going to find out. I think Graham had a pretty quiet start to training camp. But, I say that, and it's only day 5, and the pads just came on. This is the time where players really start to show who they are. It's the time where the linemen are finally able to do their thing and kind of show you whether they're going to be good or not. I haven't seen that much out of Graham yet, but then today he had a great play where he lowered his shoulder and really just trucked Troy Pride, kind of knocked him over, got a huge reaction from the crowd. They were super excited to see it, and yeah, it felt like the old days. We have the 6'7" guy running people over. Now, whether he can still do that in games, we'll see. But it sure kind of was exciting to see today.
You think he's going to make the team?
I think that is tough to answer because it does seem like the Saints had a vision in mind when they signed him, or else, what would be the point of signing him? What's tough is that he's not going to play special teams based on what we've seen in training camp. So, what is his role? You already have Juwan Johnson, who showed that, he can score those touchdowns in the red zone. So is he going to take snaps from Juwan Johnson in the red zone? Or are they going to both be in at the same time? I mean, it's interesting. It's kind of like, what is the role going to be? And we all know, even Jimmy said, I'm 6'7", and I still love the red zone. Back in the day, he was almost unbeatable in the red zone. Even that year, I don't know if you recall, Hunt, he got hurt and he partially tore his plantar fascia, and we all thought he'd miss some games, and he didn't. So he came back in the next week with a very painful injury. He played like 15 snaps, and all in the red zone, and scored 2 touchdowns. So he doesn't need to play a lot, maybe they just like that matchup. But, I'm kind of rambling, but I don't think that I could say either way at this point. But, as Dennis Allen said, we don't have to see it every day, but we do have to see it. So he's got to show that in camp that he still has something left.
So forgive my ignorance here because I honestly don't know, but how much participation can Foster Moreau give right now? 100%, 0%? I have no idea.
I mean, as far as I know, it's 100%.
Okay.
It's hard to say because they're rotating so much, and there are some guys that are getting light days or days off. So you're not always keeping track of, hey, this guy is not playing as much as we think, unless it's like a Michael Thomas, right, where everyone has all eyes on him all the time. But what I've seen, he's not being held back, and he's doing everything they ask. But I think the fact that I couldn't give you a completely direct answer shows that there's a lot of guys that are making a lot of plays already, a lot of pass catchers you're trying to keep your eye on, and that's kind of exciting after a lackluster year offensively last year.
You mentioned Michael Thomas. We'll close with that. What can you tell us about where he is physically?
Well, he had a light day on Saturday. It was very interesting. I thought that he was not going to play in team drills at all. Usually it's an either-or thing. And then he didn't do really anything all practice in terms of team drills to 7-on-7, and then he comes in for one play really late in practice. And it kind of made me think that Michael Thomas demanded to go in. I don't know. That would be very like him. But, man, today it was like the Michael Thomas show. Derek Carr went to him over and over again. They had him matched up against Marshawn Lattimore. Lattimore got the best of him on one play, was slant route in the second set of 11-on-11. Just really great coverage. And then Lattimore got the PBU. And then the very next play, Derek Carr rolls out of the pocket and points at Thomas several seconds before he throws him a pass down the sideline. Like he was so sure that not only was he going to Thomas, but Thomas was catching that ball. So, at one point he went to him 3 straight plays. So I think it's kind of great to see a lot of participation from Thomas. It's still, it's one of those things, just like everyone else. Is he going to be able to translate it to the regular season? I don't know, but I think that shows a significant step forward for him.
Yeah, I mean, sure, anything at this point would be a step forward, and I'm sure
right?
the gathered black and gold fans out there were thrilled to see that. Kat, we really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
She's Kat Terrell, covers the Saints for ESPN at Kat, Kat_Terrell on Twitter. That I didn't know. I'm trying to gather a lot of stuff, and the Saints stuff comes out a little bit later as practice is going on. So I wanted to get kind of my bearings with Kat before we get into some of the real stuff at the end there. But I got to tell you, I think that's really good to hear that Michael Thomas is being featured at points during practice and he's going head-to-head with one of the top 5 corners in the league and that he's feeling competitive and wants to go in game. I'm just looking for something here. It's still July. So I think that is a step forward. It certainly gives me more optimism than if he was standing out there holding his helmet. I feel like that's a step forward. I personally don't believe Michael Thomas has a 1,500-yard season in him, a 1,300-yard season, and I don't even know if he has a 1,000-yard season in him. But do I think he can help? Yeah. Do I think the Saints need him to help? Yeah. We'll see as we move forward here in camp. Hey, it's on. Thanks for watching Hunt on Saints. Before you leave, help us out a little bit. Hit that like button, leave your comments in the section below, and hit that subscribe button so you get all our content right here from Hunt on Saints. We'll see you next time.